The Associated Press has published new body camera footage showing the moments before the deadly arrest of Ronald Green by Louisiana state troopers. In the video from the 2019 incident, which has been edited by the AP and not independently obtained by NBC News, a handcuffed Green is ordered to lay down on his stomach even as he tries to roll over, in what the AP says may have been an attempt to breathe. A warning to our viewers, some may find the disturbing video difficult to watch.
All right, sir.
Don't you turn over.
All right.
Don't you turn over. You lay on your belly. Lay on your belly.
Yes, sir.
At another point in the video, one of the officers involved appears to admit to rough physical treatment of Green.
And I beat the ever living fuck out of him, choked him and everything else trying to get him under control. And then all of a sudden he just went limp. Yeah, I thought he was dead.
NBC News has reached out to the Louisiana police for comment on this latest video. In response to the first video, they said, quote, premature public release of investigative files and video evidence in this case is not authorized and undermines the investigative process and compromises the fair and impartial outcome. Joining us now from Louisiana is NBC News Now correspondent Priscilla Thompson. So, Priscilla, what more do you know, and what about the autopsy report that we've also been waiting on?
Well, Jeff, I want to add a note on that audio that you just played, and that was off Trooper Chris Hollingsworth that you heard there. And after he's made those statements, the fellow officer he was speaking to asked if the body cameras were on, at which point Hollingsworth turns off his body camera. So that is certainly very concerning. But the Associated Press was also able to obtain a copy of the autopsy report. And what that report showed is that there were head injuries that contributed to Green's death, along with the way that he was restrained. Now, the autopsy report found that he had cocaine and alcohol in his system, and that he also had a broken breastbone and a torn aorta. And so it's unclear whether or not those injuries came from the struggle with troopers or from the car accident and the high-speed chase. But according to the AP, the official cause of death listed on that report says, quote, cocaine-induced agitated delirium complicated by motor vehicle collision, physical struggle, inflicted head injury, and restraint. And it did not specify a manner of death in terms of whether that was homicide, accidental, or undetermined. But to your point, we have reached out to Louisiana State Police about this latest video, and we have not yet received a response. But so far, they have said that it is not appropriate for this video to be released while the investigation is still ongoing. But as a reminder, this incident occurred 2 years ago. 2 years, the family has been calling for additional information, more release, and we have not seen that happening here. And so the family today is still continuing to call this a cover-up and say that Ronald Green was murdered.
All right. Greetings and welcome to another powerful edition of the Community Defender Talk Show, one powerful hour of truth, dispelling falsehood. I'm your host, Brother Darrell Muhammad, and we're so glad that you have tuned in to tonight's program. And of course, we have a very powerful show planned for you. We have a very important guest, a very courageous guest on the program that, of course, is going to tell you a story that we all need to hear. As you know, Ronald Green was killed by the Louisiana State Police, and that there was a cover-up. But as with most things, it takes a courageous person to bring a lot of information to light. As I was taught at the mosque, that nothing happens unless somebody makes a sacrifice. And so today we have on our program Brother Carl Cavalier, who is that someone that made a sacrifice in coming forward with this information. And of course, it's been in the news that he was terminated from the Louisiana State Police for supposedly violating policy, while those people involved in the cover-up and involved in the killing still remain on the force. So we wanted our brother to come on, who is very articulate, and tell us this story. And I want everybody to pay significant attention to what our brother has to say. I want to thank you, of course, for coming on, Brother Carl Cavalier. And if you would, I guess you can just get into what it was that that happened, and then what made you take the actions that you did to bring this to light, so that we all, after all these years, now know the truth.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for having me on. Well, first of all, we know by now that May of 2019, Ronald Green was murdered by Louisiana State Troopers. Originally, they blamed it on a car wreck. They told his family, Miss Mona Harden, and the rest of the family, that he had died in a car crash. And initially, there was no video or anything like that related to this crash or anything. So after feeling like something wouldn't add it up, the family went and tried to dig a little more, ask more questions and things like that. Well, I caught wind of all of this in 2020. So about a year later, I was in New Orleans on a COVID-19 detail, and I overheard another investigator who was initially signed to the case, overheard him talking about the video and how gruesome it was. Well, hearing the details of, hey, there was a trooper or officer arriving on scene, stepping on Ronald Green's back while he was hogtied, and while he was gurgling blood and struggling to breathe. Man, this thing really piqued my interest, and after that, from that day forward, I started digging and started asking questions and doing my own little investigation into this thing. And I came across paperwork, and eventually came across one of the investigator's notes, which detailed the fact that the colonel at the time, Colonel Kevin Reeves, and his constituents, his rank and file, proceeded to cover up the whole thing, by not acknowledging that there were video, or releasing a video, or putting out details, or effectively investigating this thing. So I went and did my first interview with WBRZ. Just to back up a little bit, what made me want to do the interview was I gave the new Colonel Lamar Davis, the black colonel, I gave him a chance to do what's right. I spoke with him about the discrimination that was going on in the department. I spoke with him about the incident surrounding Ronald Green and all those details as well. And I also spoke to his lieutenant colonels, who are also black, Lieutenant Colonel Shavaz Kamen, who was over internal affairs at the time Ronald Green happened. So everything that was covered up, or everything that was pushed under the rug, came across his desk first. Also, Lieutenant Colonel Kenny Van Buren as well. I spoke to him as well. Those guys just kind of pushed it off and shunned me, and hey, just told me the Colonel Lamar Davis' words exactly was chop wood and carry water. He suggested that I go and read that book. That book, is actually a great book, but it wasn't great for the situation. To sit back and relax and don't, pretty much don't take any actions, and don't, in his words, try to speak up for everybody. Speak for yourself and don't try to speak for everyone. So I gave him, a month or two, but I also gave him my word that if nothing meaningful was done about this situation, any of these situations, I was going to speak out again. So I did an interview with WBRZ, Chris Nakamoto, detailing all the things that was, being covered up. So we're here now. At that time, I was preaching and sending out emails and trying to get people to listen and say, hey, man, this thing is bigger than state police as well. The governor knows about this. The governor was giving a commencement speech at a historically black college in the same area, Ronald Green incident happened in. So I knew he knew about it, because you can't stomp your toe at state police without the governor knowing about it. But here we are today. No one was believing me back then, but here we are today with text messages proving that the governor knew more than what he led on to knowing. So we're here today, and I'm glad that everyone is seeing the text messages. Everyone is seeing that different people had their hands in this thing. Also, we have the black politicians, of the Black Caucus. We've seen the text messages of Ted James. We've seen the text messages of a few other people, things related to Katrina Jackson. And it's just all coming to light. But the thing is that we can have all this evidence. We can have this lynching on camera and audio and video and all these great things. But if the community don't get behind this and voice their opinion and stand up and say something about it and do something about it, this is going to be all for nothing. the governor, state police is going to pay off the family. I'm going to tell you, what history knows. The governor, state police is going to pay off the family. Family goes away, to be quiet. But I know this family. I don't think they're going to go anywhere or go anywhere to be quiet about nothing because they love Ronald and they're a strong family. So I believe they're going to continue fighting. But history tells us that they're going to pay the family off, try to quiet the community down, and get everyone to settle this thing out. State police is actively trying to hire a third-party company of their choice, of the Black Caucus choice, to come in and say, hey, investigate us, tell us what we need. But if I go in, I'm doing the dirty work and I go and hire somebody to come investigate me, you think they're going to do their job? If I'm paying them, I'm their boss, I'm paying them the money. You think they're going to come in and do a great job? State police is right now trying to avoid a consent decree, which New Orleans Police Department is under. So that's what state police is trying to avoid, because once that comes down, you don't have all this, backdoor dirty things going on, because you have an oversight. You have Big Brother looking over you, telling you what to do, what not to do, and monitoring everything you do. Hiring, promoting, firing. That's what they need. They badly need that, but they want to avoid that. And if they avoid that, and the community allow them to avoid that, then we're gonna have business as usual. We're gonna have business as usual. We're gonna have the same old thing of police brutality, the culture that's happening in Troop F. It's not just Troop F. Troop E, F, and G were on a detail. Now this is new information that not new to me, but not new to new to our listeners and new to you guys. But E, F, and G has a video out right now of them beating another guy. His last name is Mims, and telling him, "What's wrong with you, nigga? What's wrong with you?" You can hear it on the audio, but that's not out in the public right now, and they're actively trying to cover it up right now. State Police's captain over internal affairs, a black lady over internal affairs. Her name is what's her name? Treon Lavadine. She's good friends with the governor, so she's over internal affairs and trying to smooth this thing over, trying to get this case of Mr. Mims to go away as well. So there's a lot of things going on with state police behind the scene. There's a lot the public don't know. The feds do not have everything, and state police is still right now to this minute trying to actively cover up all the things that they have going on.
Man, and for decades, our people struggled for the right to vote, struggled to get black people in position, struggled to get black principals, black police officers, because the idea was that they would bring a new mindset to it, and that they would govern differently than the racist people who had held these positions before. And for me, being a part of the struggle actively, it pains me to see some of our people who are in positions of authority, who are in positions of power, just kind of buckle and help to cover up a racist murder of their own people. And so if you overheard something, and you're one trooper, if you overheard something, surely other people of our persuasion have overheard things as well.
Thank you.
And then you said everything of the entire cover-up had to go across these individuals' desks. So what do you think it is that's motivating them or closing down their motivation to do the right thing? Because we all struggle. My grandmother, my father, my family struggled to get certain of us in certain positions where it would be acceptable for us to be in a leadership position so we could get a different result from the government. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So where, what do you think is going on that they are so callous toward the interests of their own people? I mean, how can you?
It's not what I think, it's what I know and what I can prove. So the guy I mentioned, Lieutenant Colonel Shavaz Cameron, who was a black guy from New Orleans, 2019, he was the captain over internal affairs, as I said. So now he's promoted to lieutenant colonel. So I don't have to say no more after that. And a bunch of these guys involved with this case have been promoted to captain, to lieutenant colonel, to major, to different things like that. So they want these six-figure salaries, but they're willing to, put the community's welfare, in jeopardy to get these six-figure salaries. Shavaz Cameron told me himself in the text messages I still have in my phone, hey man, you got to play the game. You know, before you jump out there. Now, this was 2018 when I spoke up, you know, on a separate occasion. You know, oh, you got to play the game. You got to know how to deal with these people. You know, you got to lay low, and you know, it's just chess, not checkers. The famous saying, you know. But how long do we have to play the game? You know, how long should we play the game? And you know, at the detriment of our community. You know, so the promotions and things like that. I have a black lieutenant who was once. I looked at him as a mentor. When I started speaking up, he was like, man, why are you doing that? I said, it's obvious why I'm doing that. He told me in the text message I still have in my phone, man, you were on your way up. All you had to do is, you know, keep quiet, shut your mouth. You was on the way up. You did this to yourself. I did what to myself? A black man died. Even if he wasn't black, a man died and it was murdered at the hands of state police. Whether he was black, white, whatever, purple, whatever. You know, a man died, and I just can't sleep at night knowing what I know and just go about my business as usual just because I want to be promoted.
So you're basically saying we're looking at the prestige of promotion and the monetary benefit of those salaries or raises are the reason that people are turning their back on truth and justice when they're supposed to be in the truth and justice system, supposedly.
Correct.
So you're looking at this. Now, I'm just going to drop this in because in Baton Rouge, we had a narcotics division that was shut down by the current police chief. But what you had was a black person who was sickened by it, but was not going to come forward. He was just going to get out of the narcotics division. But they overplayed their hand, set him up on a false charge, and forced him to come out on him, Brother Aldewan. Now, he wasn't going to come out. He was forced out by the actions that they took to undermine his credibility. And so he even said that there are more illegitimate cases in the drug court than there are legitimate cases. He talked about the corruption, how drugs was being planted on people, and so on and so forth. So it really pains me that people would get in these positions, see what is going on, and for whatever reason, remain silent. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air with the Community Defender. You have a question or comment for our guest, our Brother Cavalier. Go ahead, caller. Okay, I guess we lost that caller. You can go ahead and call back. And I call him Brother Cavalier because he's actually showing that he is a brother, showing that he is a human being by bringing the truth out at great cost to himself. Because there's always a cost to speaking the truth. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, thank you so very much. A very enlightening program. Brother Garrett, Mr. Cavalier, we want to thank you for standing up for the truth. We praise you. We feel and we know that you are definitely a soldier that's fighting corruptness in the state of Louisiana, particularly at our highest office. I want to know, as a community, what can we do to help you, because you got five. What can we do to try to help out, sir?
Well, I appreciate you first of all. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. I have a GoFundMe account up right now called Cavalier's Legal Defense Fund. And that's to help me pay my attorney, of course, help me to continue to follow through with my lawsuit, to get in the pursuit of getting my job back and receiving all the monies back that they took away from me. So that's the first thing. Carl Cavalier's Legal Defense Fund. You guys donate what you can. If you can't donate nothing at all, then I appreciate a prayer. I appreciate a prayer.
Absolutely, and of course that's real. Expenses are real. Attorneys, even the best attorney can't work for free. Especially if you got a family. So even people say, well, why does the attorney need the money? The attorney got children too. And a house note and whatnot. You understand? So everything is real. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with the Community Defender. You have a question for our guest.
Yeah, Carl Cavalier, commend you for what you've been doing. But look, you didn't mention the Black Caucus. and how they didn't support you. Vincent St. Pierre, who's John Bell's best friend, and there's a whole bunch of other black guys that you need to call out to let the public know they're the one that's incriminating us.
Understood.
Elaborate on that for us.
Yeah, we'll do. So, as I said before, I reached out in 2020 when I first heard about the Ronald Green situation. I reached out to State Representative Edmund Jordan, who's a black guy as well, and I actually wrote a letter through Edmund Jordan to the governor and also to the then Colonel Kevin Reeves about discrimination in the department, Ronald Green murder, another white trooper calling a black trooper a nigger, and also promotion, hiring, and firing that we were dealing with within the department. So Edmund Jordan delivered that letter to the governor. The governor said to Edmund Jordan to ask me, what do we want? What do y'all want? What y'all want me to do? So I sent a message back to Edmund Jordan. I said, first, I want a public apology. You know, 2, want you to acknowledge everything that's going on in my letter. I want you to acknowledge it. 3, I want you to investigate it. Thoroughly investigate. I never heard back from the governor or Edmund Jordan on that. So Edmund Jordan went ghost on me. But the crazy thing is now Edmund Jordan is a part of a committee that's supposed to be investigating state police. Now you tell me if 1 + 1 = 2 every time. I think we all got enough common sense to know, his role on that committee. I don't trust that at all. But those other names, Mr. Vincent Pierre, I never spoke with him, never reached out to him. The first of me learning of him was him assuming a position that Mr. Ted James had it originally as chair of the Black Caucus. But as soon as he set his butt in that chair as chair of the Black Caucus, he came out and jumped in front of John Bell Edwards and said, oh no, we going to defend him, tooth and nail. We're going to defend him to the end. You're going to defend him to the end, but what have you said about Ronald Green? What did you ask the governor any questions about Ronald Green? Did you come out originally when the case first took off, when Ted James seen the video when it first came out? No one was shouting then. No one was hollering said anything then. But Ted James acknowledged, back when he seen the video, that it was a horrible video. Now you see the text message of him saying, I can't no longer turn my cheek on this. Why were you turning your cheek in the first place?
In the first place.
Why are you turning your cheek in the first place? So those are the names of those guys. And the other names that I mentioned are the blacks who are in power right now are not doing anything. They're actually doing the opposite of what we would expect them to do. The exact opposite, and they're doing the worst. So those are the names of those guys.
Man, this is something. And it's been said by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan that if you do not love our people, he said, get from in front of them. And he said that things would get worse and worse for the sellout because you were going to be exposed. And in this day and time, you are being exposed. Those people that I thought were upstanding folks are looking a little weak to me right now. I can remember a couple of people. I can remember Ted James at the event where Tamika Mallory came to the Justice for Ronald Green event. I can remember that. And I can remember the conversations that we had with a lot of the black legislators who came down to meet and to greet everybody. It was a real nice, pleasant interaction. But now, looking at this, for them to try to defend somebody who's texting about the death of a black man, and then for somebody to say they can no longer avoid or turn their cheek. I mean, again, you're supposed to be on these things. People struggle to get the right to vote to get you where you are today. Mm-hmm. You are there on the blood, sweat, and tears of an entire people. And you have to be loyal to that struggle by continuing that struggle once you get into that position. Yes. It's just what it is. I mean, I'm a brother with a little education, but I'm not more important than all the black folk in the state of Louisiana. I'm just one brother. They are more important than me. The cause of justice and truth is more important than any one of us, more important than any one salary, any one promotion, any 10 promotions, any 20 promotions for that matter. And so it's about time that we get something out of what we have struggled for. Go ahead, Carl. You're on the air with the community defender. Do you have a question or comment for our guest?
Yeah, I got a comment. Carl Cavalier, I was with you yesterday on the show with Sister Khadijah. Look, and you mentioned about how we was taught to forgive. And the thing is that we've been taught how to forgive so much till we forget how to remember the repass of everything they do to us by hiring the blacks to incriminate the blacks. And this is when they promote the blacks, give them a pay raise, and then they forget who their oath is to. But you see, they're trying to compare you to these other officers, but you know what the oath is. It's not about money, it's about doing your job. So elaborate on them other black officers who don't have the courage or know the definition of oath. And you did say Lamar Davis said chop wood and carry water. Mm-hmm. A slave master's word, chop wood and carry water. He was letting you know right there, he is the Negro that was in the house and happy with the white man doing to us. Elaborate on him more, because he's the one that they hired to fire you. They couldn't let the white boy do it, so they had to find a black boy that would take it. It had no powers at all. So tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So
thank you, sir.
About Lamar Davis, he hit the nail on the head. All the blacks in the department, when I say all, 95%, even more, knew that, even the whites, even knew that Lamar was not in position to be the colonel. We all said the same thing. Even the ones that's dirty said the same thing, that Doug Kane, who's the number 2 guy right now, is going to be the real colonel. Even though Lamar got the title, Doug Kane was the real colonel. Lamar's first press conference, he come out and say, systematic racism doesn't exist in the department. I don't have evidence of that. Before he became colonel, before he became any ranking officer, they were on his back. And I say the department was on his back. He had to seek refuge from the Black Caucus. So in the black community, so he sought refuge from the black and the culture when he needed help. But when he got up into ranks, he didn't forgot. He didn't forgot the systematic racism that was beating him down. He forgot about that. But the chop wood and carry water, I expected that from him, but I at least wanted to give him a chance. I wanted to give him the opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to make a great legacy for myself as a black colonel, as a colonel, period. He could have had one of the greatest legacies up there, but he decided to go the opposite direction. So everything that's going on right now, you can tell from that first press conference saying there's no systematic racism, there's no evidence of it. We knew where this story was going to go from there. Doug Kane, the number 2 guy, this is new information. Doug Kane, the number 2 guy, Lamar Davis told him, hey, it's probably best with everything that's going on right now. It's probably best that you take leave and don't come back to work right now. Mm-hmm. Doug Kane told him no. How can you tell a colonel or state police no? He's your boss. He's your boss. He's your supervisor. Told him no. The Sheriff's Association is running state police, and that's a fact.
Can you believe it? And we definitely, of course, appreciate you coming on, brother, and laying this information out here. We got it from somebody who actually knows. There is no doubt as to the information that we're getting, whether or not it's truthful. And this has unleashed really a firestorm that we just have to make sure we keep going. As you said beforehand, before we got on air, that they're going to try to cover it up, that they are hoping that the story dies down.
Yes.
It's up to all of us to make sure that this story does not die down. And once we post this program, we're going to post it on a couple of platforms. It's up to everybody to push it out there, and we need to discuss it. We, of course, have a graphic of Ronald Green, who was mercilessly murdered at the hands of people who are charged with serving and protecting, and we just have to keep the heat on, as we have with other stories and other issues, going all the way back to the Jenna 6, which was started and named so on this program. Go ahead, Carl, you on there with the Community Defender.
How y'all doing, man?
We're doing excellent, sir. Let me turn the volume up on you. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's what you mean. Hey, you get some of these black folks in office, and it's sort of like that they as useless as you rubbing a steak on the outside of a hungry man's stomach. You know what I'm saying? They forget where they come from, and they don't want to buck the system. You see, if they buck the system, then they're scared if they're going to lose something. See, like the guy you got right there, police, he has what you call pride in being white. Not black or white. He got pride in being white. And when you got people like that, you got to get rid of him. See, that guy next to you, they're going to call him crazy. They're going to say his mental state is off. It happened to a police in California the same way. When he spoke up against what's going on, then they called him crazy. So, guy that's right there by you, hey man, I appreciate you and I applaud you because not too many going to do what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we definitely appreciate you calling in, caller. And, from you hearing something and then hearing a conversation that by itself was not significant enough, and hold on just a second, caller, to being motivated to do the necessary research and uncover everything, what was it that drove you from hearing a word then to working on it and digging until you find out what was the compulsion? Because most people would have dismissed what they heard, but you literally went and found out that what you heard, that it was even deeper than that.
Yeah, I think it's just the fact of who I am as a person. Before we come into law enforcement and before we come into wherever, if you're not a man or a woman before you get there, you're gonna be whatever they make you to be. You're gonna be whatever, because the academy is designed to break you down. It's like the military, break you down whatever you know or you think you know, and instill in whatever they want you to know. That's the way that works. But if you're not a man or woman before you get there, you don't know yourself before you get there, then you're gonna be whatever they want you to be. Now, to answer your question, this person I am right now, I was this person before I got to state police. So I wasn't gonna stop being that person because I put on a uniform. I am who I am. And like the caller say, I'm just on the side of right. If it was a white man getting beat, I'd say the same thing. But it's just a compounding effect that is a black man, a man that looks like me, looks like my family. And I know that, blacks in this country be getting the shitty end of the stick for forever now. So, to answer your question, dang, I don't think it was anything to just one thing that just compelled me to come forward. But a man lost his life, and everyone around me, seemed to be okay with it, seemed to be all right with it. So I had to come forward and I had to go dig for more information. And the crazy thing about it is I have white guys behind me right now that send me information, tell me things that's behind the scene because they're tired of it too. They're tired of it too. Whether we want to believe it or not, there's white guys pushing me information just as much as, I would say more so than there's black guys pushing me information, So, and that's not to play the race issue, but we got to call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. This is a racial problem within state police. There's a racist problem within Louisiana, and the responsibility is just as much on the governor and all the politicians, black, white, whatever. It's just as much as on the citizens as well. We can't just take this land down because if we do, we just saying we okay with dying. Mm-hmm. We okay with being murdered. We okay with that. Just give us a little money, rub a little salt on it, and we'll be all right. So.
So basically, what you were saying, is that it everything emanated from the kind of character that you have and that you decided to exhibit. It was really about who you are as a man. That the reason that you continued to dig and to bring this thing to light, and so that now not only a city or a state knows the truth, but now the entire world knows the truth of what happened based upon your actions.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I couldn't go home at night and sleep well at night knowing I knew these things. I couldn't go home and trying to teach my little boys like, hey man, men don't do this, men don't do that. You're supposed to do this as a man, do that as a man. I can't tell that to my little boys knowing I know some foul information like that. Now look at the flip side of it. There's more black troopers within state police who going home and teaching their boys supposedly how to be a man. What kind of man are you teaching them to be? So what kind of man are you teaching them to be?
Man. Go ahead, caller, on there with the community defender. You have a question or comment for our guest.
I have a comment, and I want to thank y'all so much for the most powerful show in existence. We had Victor White Jr. that was killed by New Iberia Police Department, and the one of the killers, Justin Ortiz, and he's still working right now in Youngsville, Louisiana. And there's another punk that had killed Lil Vic Jr., the one with handcuffs behind his, allegedly handcuffs behind his hand, and he shot himself. But Louis Ackle, who was a no good sheriff, a no good bastard sheriff out in New Iberia, Louisiana, he calls in the state trooper to investigate, and we knew that wasn't going to go anywhere. We also had a police officer here in Lafayette that committed suicide because he said in Lafayette, this is the most corrupt and racist system in existence. Mr. Kevin knows his name. I don't know him, but keep up the good work, sir. Thank you so much for telling the truth.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And I wanted to ask something else of you, and that is the revelation by the head of the state police, the figurehead, I guess, of the state police, that phones had been wiped in the middle of investigations. Can you speak to that? Because he came, and I was wondering why he came and made the statement that phones were wiped, and then tried to defend it as something that would protect the officer in some kind of way. He seemed to be a little discombobulated about it. But what do you know about phones being wiped in the middle of an investigation, and what rationale they had for something like that?
There's no legit rationale for that, because federal law is clear on that. You can't wipe that. You can't wipe those phones. You can't get rid of that evidence. That's public records. Let's just say that. That's public records. So you're working for the department. The department gives you a department issue phone. That's taxpayer dollars taking care of that phone. So everything on that phone, the content on that phone, they have it written out that you ought to keep the content on this phone for a certain period of time. You can't wipe anything in the middle of an investigation or prior to investigation starting. So that's obstruction of justice. You know, it's clear, and that's the number 2 guy, Doug Kane, the attorney, Faye Morrison, all those guys, and the technical guy who wiped the phones is an Asian guy, goes by the name of Treat. His name is Treat, and he's up there right now stressed out about it. Like, he don't understand why they asked him to wipe the phones, and supposedly he still have the phones in his cubbyhole right now, but they might not be there after this program if anyone sees this program. But he's up there losing his mind right now, because that man don't want to go to jail. He's up there working for his family. He didn't know, I guess he didn't know the dirty things that they had going on. But to your question, that's a crime, you know? Absolutely.
So it is a federal crime, and I guess you would call it obstruction of justice. So basically you're talking about murder, then you're talking about lying, then you're talking about obstruction of justice after the fact. Go ahead, caller, you on there with the community defender.
Yes, I have a question from Mr. Cavalier.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and my question is, okay, if state police is have so much corruption within their department, aren't they the ones that investigate things that go on in local police departments and sheriff departments? So do you believe that if they do investigate it, do you believe that a lot of cases also go underreported, or a lot of families does not receive justice in many cases?
Yes, I think from this situation here is going to show us a lot. It's going to reveal a lot. The way they go about things procedurally, the way they sweep things under the table, under the rug, and things like that. So that's why, when people ask me, do I have any regrets for what I'm doing? I don't have any regrets, because even if I don't get everything I want out of this situation, things are going to change. Change is inevitable. We can't stop that from happening. So whether it's just a little change or a lot of change, that's going to be dependent on us as a community, if we push this thing forward, and how far and how hard we push this thing. So to answer your question, yes, there's a lot of things that's going to come to light. Things that they covered up in the past, things that they're covering up now, and the things that they're going to cover up in the they plan to cover up in the future, but hopefully we can put a stop to that, as a community, if we keep this thing going and keep this thing rolling. If not, it's going to be business as usual. So yeah, I think them partnering with the local agencies, they have relatives in the local agencies, it's a lot of that going on. So yes, for sure. I think that's without a doubt.
Man, and so much over the years has been turned over to the Louisiana State Police to investigate, so on and so forth. So much of that. Did you need it?
That's fine.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Good. So we want to make sure our guest is properly hydrated. But so much of that stuff goes to the state police, and it looks as though we're dealing with with a serious leviathan of corruption down in the bowels of this particular agency. I mean, it's really wow when you look at the video, but then when you see how long that video was ignored and covered up, something so vile and so crazy, and then from a conversation that you hear in New Orleans, now the whole world is looking at this and putting a black face in place to clean up a racist mess has been the play. And I think that they're trying to master this. They're trying to master this play of putting color on wickedness to shield us from the wickedness. Now, when you look at the the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus, and them siding with the system against their people, what they're depending on is for us to stay ignorant, for us not to call them out, for us not to deal with them. And then now you see other people, they've gone on to the Biden administration, moved on up. Maybe they believe that they're going to come back and, become mayors and whatnot. I don't know. But I think that we're going to have to continue to hold everybody's feet to the fire, and we're not going to be able to let them out. If they try to escape, we got to question them if they're running for office on these text messages. Why did you say you can't avoid it anymore? Why would you try to avoid it in the first place if you're really for the people? What is your motivation for rolling like that? You see, we got to really, really hold their feet to the fire and box them in and make them say to us what it is. You understand? From their own mouth. We can see what it is, but we can no longer allow you, just give you our vote and you give us disloyalty. You understand? You cannot be disloyal. And one thing about it is we got to be loyal to the righteous struggle of those who have come before us. They struggled, they died, some of them were shot for registering people to vote. We got the right to vote, and then this is the crap that you give us. For all of that struggle that people, do you know people literally got shot in the head in Opelousas? Go back and check the record. They got shot all in through Lafourche Parish and Terrebonne, shot dead, registering people to vote. Martin Luther King wrote in his book that civil rights leaders were routinely beat to death in public to vote for you and for you to sell out all of those people. So those of you who have sold us out, you have sold out Martin Luther King. You sold out Malcolm X. You sold out Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and everybody that has ever struggled. If you are rolling with this crap, you have sold out millions of our people, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And as the Holy Quran says, me as a Muslim, but we all black, the Holy Quran says that God will make your deeds to cling to your neck. And we're going to help, we're going to serve God today. We're going to make sure that they cling to your neck. And I've said this years ago. Why is it that when an Uncle Tom comes to church, why do y'all let him in? You understand me? Like, if he comes to church and you see him coming to church on Sunday, you should say, no, bro, you ain't with Jesus. Because Jesus was a truth teller. Jesus got on the cross for the truth, and you punked out. You got to deal with it. Either we going to be true Christians, or we going to be true Muslims, or we just going to leave it all alone. We can no longer allow these people just to roll in our community and be comfortable. And when an Uncle Tom, I'm not going to mention his name today, but when an Uncle Tom was getting a haircut in Scotlandville, Louisiana, he was confronted by activists, couldn't even get his haircut. That's how you got to do them. Don't let them rest. When you see them in Walmart, say, why did you sell out? When you see them on the fruit aisle, say, hey, bro, I see you buying your blueberry, but why did you do that? Why did you punk out on the struggle for hundreds of years? When you know that a black man was crushed and murdered to death like that, why did you do that? No, bro, you can't roll like that. Now, some people think I'm a little bit too passionate, but I'm not as rough as what happened to Ronald Green.
Yes.
I'm not as rough as the bullets that went through Alton Sterling's body. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that rough. Yeah. Go ahead, Carl. You're on there with the community defender.
Good show. Do you?
I don't see nobody protesting against that. And the thing that you're talking about with talking about black on black crime, we got to stop talking about the symptoms and start talking about the causes, because it's the system that causes the symptoms to the blacks that want to destroy one another. That's what we got to keep talking about too, because we are tired of saying the symptoms. We know the causes. It's the system that makes the laws against the black children and black families that makes them want to destroy themselves when they see white cops getting away with murder and then becoming heroes, and people like Carl Cavalier becoming made a villain, and the blacks letting them do this.
We're gonna make sure
all of them out. We are the only one that can save them.
That's right. We're gonna make sure that he is not known as a villain. We're gonna make sure of that. The idea that the person who is
that don't even amount to nothing, when the guys who Trooper Corey York, a white guy who drugged Ronald Green by his shackles on video and contributed to his death, he's still on the job, still working. You know, you got a lieutenant on the job, John Clary, who's still on the job, and just a little tidbit for the listeners, they're waiting till March. March is the date that he get his 3 years as a lieutenant. They wanted him to lock in his 3 years as a lieutenant, to lock that money in, and then he get to decide if he want to retire or not. He's the one who lied about having body camera video. He told him, we have a bunch of evidence like that, but it'll get ignored if the public don't continuously call into the governor's office, call state police, tell them you want these things investigated thoroughly.
right. And so who do you think our people should call, particularly in the legislative caucus? Who do you think they should call to voice their concern?
You can get on Pierre. He's the chair. Call Pierre. He's the chair. Call all of them. Because if Pierre don't answer the phone, I'm sure he's not going to answer the phone. Call all of them. Voice your concern. Show up to some of these hearings. The session about to be, the session about to take place now. They're gonna be in and out there. Talk to them. However you need to talk to them, talk to them.
There you go. Get online. Go get those phone numbers, and let's go ahead on and keep the pressure on, because we cannot allow this kind of disloyalty to go unpunished, at least politically. All right, we cannot allow it to happen. So I want to thank you for checking out the Community Defender. We're going to be coming right back at you with another hard-hitting issue in a couple of weeks. May God continue to bless you and your families, and put this out there and spread the word. God bless.